For the record, I'm more of a Star Wars fan rather than a Star Trek guy. Welcome to the PM-9. Hello, I'm Raging Amish, and this is the PM-9 in Modern Warfare 3. Today, we're going to take a venture into the Star Trek universe. Why are we going there, you may ask, in a Modern Warfare 3 review? Well, here's a picture of the PM-9's irons, and now here's Leonard Nimoy. Because of the unusually pointy ears in the iron sights, I like to call this SMG the Mr. Spock gun.
Say nerd! Nerd!
Unlocked at level 56, this Japanese submachine gun is the 5th weapon in tier. Like all of its brethren, the PM-9 is fully automatic, shooting at an astounding fire rate of 1090 RPM. This is the fastest fire rate in the game.
Oh, dip!
Dip indeed.
Accompanying your high fire rate is a magazine that clocks in at 32 rounds. You may find this isn't enough. The PM-9 chews through bullets like crazy. You will need to frequently reload, making sleight of hand mandatory. As for your bullet power, the PM-9 is a little lackluster. Each round clocks in at 35 damage up close and 20 at a distance. This barely counts as a 3 to 5 hit kill. Thankfully, you do still get the standard SMG headshot bonus of 50%. If you hit the head, you reduce your number of shots to kill by 1. Now I know what some of you are thinking. All of the SMGs can pull off at least a 3 to 5 hit kill. Here's the problem. The PM-9 has ridiculously short range. By default, the bullets start to drop at 10 meters and levels off completely at 15 meters. For reference, the Striker also has a range limit of 15 meters. The PM-9 falls off to a 5 hit kill at a disgustingly short range.
I'm literally angry with rage.
Still, this is an SMG we're talking about, so the gun has a few features which help make up for the poor range. The other key performance notes include a 100% movement rate, low penetration power, SMG crosshairs, and high idle sway. This gun is extremely well designed for close quarter fights. Also, the Mr. Spock gun continues to shine when we look at the transition times. By default, the gun raises in 1.23 seconds, which may sound slow, but I should remind you, what matters is how fast you can switch away from the PM-9, not to it. With that in mind, the drop speed is lightning fast at 420 milliseconds. Yes, I just said 420, no, we're not going there. Anyway, to round out the transition speeds, the ADS time is standard at 200 milliseconds. Quick draw is far from needed. You'll definitely have some flexibility with your red perk, that much is true, but you can forget about that with the blue tier. I say that because your reload speeds are crap. By default, the PM-9 reloads in 3 seconds, or 4.13 seconds if the mag was completely empty. Either way, the bullets enter the chamber at the 2.20 second mark. This is flat out awful for an SMG. Sleight of hand is pretty much mandatory. Unfortunately, this isn't the end of the crap train. We have yet another disadvantage to cover.
To what disadvantage are you referring?
Of course, I'm talking about the recoil. The gun flat out kicks like a mule. By default, the recoil profile comes in with a value of 60 to the left, 60 to the right, 64 heading up, and 40 downwards. Countering this recoil profile is a center speed of 1600. You may notice that this recoil profile looks pretty standard for an SMG. What's different with the PM-9 is your monstrous fire rate and high visual kick. The gun is difficult to control when you aim down the sight. I would highly advise shooting from the hip. Still, if you do decide to aim down the sights, like I said at the beginning, the PM-9 has Mr. Spock ears. Or maybe they're Elvish ears. You never know. Maybe I should call this the Mr. Legolas gun. Regardless, now it's time to look at the attachments. The PM-9 has plenty of options, so let's get started. Red dot sight, holographic sight. I've said it before, but I'll say it again. I advise shooting from the hip. As such, these attachments are largely pointless. Don't bother with either option. Silencer. On paper, you would think the silencer is a bad choice. You don't appear on radar when you fire your gun, yes, but your range is reduced by 25%. Surely that's a bad idea since that's already one of the gun's weaknesses. Well, in practice, no. The range is already so bad to start with that I actually came to like the silencer. You will spray bullets everywhere when using the PM-9 regardless of your attachment selection. The silencer prevents unwanted attention. Try the attachment out, it's quite powerful. ACOG scope. Much like with the sights, I'm going to say it again. Shoot from the hip. You shouldn't be using SMGs for long-range combat anyway. Stick with other attachments.
Full auto. Rapid fire. Rapid fire.
Ah, it feels good to see old Sylvester again. By the way, the new Dread flick? It's not half bad. Anyway, rapid fire is flat out lethal. The gun gains a 20% fire rate boost. Need I remind you that PM-9 already has the fastest fire rate in the game. Rapid fire helps you put out bullets at a ridiculous rate. Heed my warning though. Don't even bother aiming down the sight. I found in practice the gun is just too hard to guide. Hammer scope. If you want to use a sight, this is the attachment you should use. Again, I generally would advise firing from the hip, but I must admit, the hammer isn't half bad. Visually, the sight is clean. Try it out if you haven't already. Extended mags. Like I've mentioned before, extended mags is definitely an attractive option on the PM-9. You will frequently empty this gun's chamber and need to reload. This attachment helps to ease that pain. Also, you gain 50% more bullets. Once you unlock this attachment, put it on your PM-9 and never take it off. Thermal scope.
Go to hell.
So to recap, the silencer, rapid fire, the hammer scope, and extended mags are all decent choices. I say pick the attachment which fits your playstyle best. Since we're on the subject of designing your class, up next is your perks. For the blue tier, I've said it already, go with sleight of hand. This is not optional. Your reload speeds are slow, and you will be constantly refilling your magazine.
I am simply acknowledging your difficulties.
As for your red perk, I find myself split between Hardline and Blast Shield. Hardline is a natural fit on any SMG. You can count on having a few hit markers at range. Hardline Pro will turn those assists into points for your point streak. Blast Shield also fits if you want to be a bit more of a close quarter brute. You can take a random grenade or claymore to the face and still keep fighting. This perk really does work. Up next, I don't really have a perk of choice for the third tier, but I'll be crucified if I don't at least mention steady aim. The PM-9 is insane with this perk. Still, I would argue it isn't needed. You pump out so many bullets that the base version is more a luxury than a necessity. If anything, steady aim pro will make a bigger difference than the base version.
Fascinating.
With that out of the way, the next thing you need to do is pick your proficiency. On the PM-9, you have a couple options. Range is incredibly hard to pass on. This proficiency helps cure the PM-9's most glaring weakness. The gun can now pull off a 3-hit kill to a more practical distance. Also, 2 attachments is a great fit. You have so many practical options in the PM-9. Why not pick 2? And finally, kick is a decent choice if you do want to play with the hammer scope or extended mags. If your opponent is too far away for hipfire, you can try aiming down the sight, where kick will help immensely. Remember though, I'm just saying kick in a sight is an option. At the end of the day, should you really be aiming down the sight with the PM-9? I think you already know the answer.
No!
Finally, the last part of your class is picking the right secondary. For the PM-9, I highly advise using the MP-9. This machine pistol is a perfect yin to the PM-9's yang. I feel like I should be making a dirty joke right now, but I'll resist. The MP-9 is simply perfect. The gun is accurate to a decent range, meaning you can rely on your secondary for those more distant gun battles. Still, you should also try out a pistol. Occasionally, you will get caught with an empty mag, and a pistol is the only secondary that can pull out fast enough to save you. Try it out on a close quarter map like Hard Hat or Mission. Finally, I should also mention Overkill. Why? Well, perhaps you want to use your PM-9 as a secondary for those close quarter battles. Personally, I really don't advise doing this, but if that's what you want to do, then have at it. Is this logical? No, but it can work.
Put aside logic. Do what feels right.
In the end, the PM-9 really is a unique gun. Your range is crap, your recoil is horrible, and the reloads leave a lot to be desired. Still, that doesn't matter when the weapon is a bullet hose. If you can get your opponent in a close quarter battle, the PM-9 will be incredibly lethal and is arguably better than some of the shotguns. The gun fulfills a very odd role, but is fun to use nonetheless. That concludes this review of the PM-9. I hope you enjoyed and that you'll join me next time, where we'll be taking a look at the AA-12. Until then, this is Raging Amish. Live long and prosper.